What is popping, y'all? Great vlog. Current status, man. Currently, we are out here at the Remington Golf Course. You know what I'm saying? This episode of Grxxt Talk is gonna be a little different. You know what I'm saying? It's gonna be some stuff that we ain't never did before, as y'all can tell. And you can tell by the title, we have a special guest today. We got the man, the myth, the legend. You know what I'm saying? The man behind the camera. CEO of Third Day Productions. You know what I'm saying? Great father, great husband, man of God, my boy Lamar, man.
Hey,
everybody, W's in the comment for Lamar, man.
What's going on, y'all? You know, I'm out of my comfort zone. You know, I'm normally behind the camera. I'm in front of the camera today, doing it for my boy, my brother, great. So, just trying to deliver. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man. We out here. It's gonna be a fire episode. You know what I'm saying? I'm not sure what we're gonna do, but we will find out as the episode goes along. We are on hole number what? What hole is this?
4, I want to say.
Yeah, 4. And we've been killing today, y'all. It's been nothing but birdies and eagles.
All day.
You know what I'm saying?
Fairways all day.
Yeah, I think we out here breaking records.
Yes, sir.
But with that being said, make sure y'all like, comment, subscribe, man. Join the great gang or you ain't gang. You know what I'm saying? Big stuff on the way. We'll see y'all on the next clip. So as some of y'all may know, if y'all don't, Lamar does photography, videography, and he's fire, right? I remember when we had first met, you know what I'm saying? We was chopping it up and he was telling me how he used to do videography, but then he stopped and he wasn't going back to it. And it's crazy seeing everything that he's doing now just from getting a word from God and then being obedient to that word. Bro, how did you feel before doing videography and photography, and then when you got the word and then being obedient to that? Like, what was it that made you want to follow through on that word?
Before, I was just living life, like, you know, just day to day. You know, wake up, go to work, you know, be the best father, be the best husband I could be. And that was my life. It was nothing else. I don't know if I was seeking something, or I just say no. I didn't know what I wanted to do. Mm-hmm. It wasn't until I got the word that I figured that out. That this is what's been missing. This talent that God has bestowed on me since a kid. I studied in high school and in college, a little bit of college that I did go to, but it was just wasted, you know, talent. It was a talent that was just, you know, was stagnant. It wasn't doing anything. I got the word and I knew it was from God because immediately after Apostle gave me the word about it, you know, obviously him not knowing anything about my past, I don't even post anything about photography. I haven't done it in 12, 13 years. Yeah. I knew it was God because as soon as we left that dinner, I went home and immediately started researching cameras because I haven't been in a camera game. And since when I was in the game, it was just DSLR. Now, when I was looking at, there's a new technology, mirrorless. So I had to do my research, get my knowledge up on what mirrorless cameras were. Went ahead and bought a camera, nice little starter Canon mirrorless camera. And, you know, I started playing around, hit Juan up. He was one of my first projects with the camera as far as doing video. I've always had the eye for video, but I've never actually done it because I couldn't afford the equipment back when I was a kid, when I was younger. Yeah. I've always, you know, would watch a movie and would appreciate certain shots, or, you know, maybe they could have shot it this way. So I've always had the eye. I just never had the equipment to, you know, portray what I was seeing, what I was feeling. What was my first project with that? Photo has always been my passion. Photo was always number one. Video, I would say, is number 2. Photo is something. I don't know. I feel like it's something more powerful about an image that doesn't move, but I feel like it tells a lot more than a moving image. There's so much interpretation. So yeah, you know, I kept at it. And the one thing about a word, you know, once you get that word, you can't just, you know, you gotta work on that. You gotta keep at it. You can't just, you know, get the word and expect God to do it for you. No, you gotta put the work in. Exactly. So I've been putting work into this day. Yeah. So, you know, great, you know, glory to God for, you know, just giving me that fire and keeping at it. Because I could have just stopped after, you know, things haven't been going the way I wanted them to go, but I kept at it. And things is on the up and up, so it's been great, man, for sure.
Powerful, man. God will meet you where you are.
Yes, sir.
And then you got to meet God to where he's calling you to be from where you are.
You got to put the work in.
Fire.
For sure.
So what you do requires a lot of sacrifice, you know what I'm saying? And a lot of balance with your time. As somebody who used to be single, you know what I'm saying? I found it feeling as if I never had enough time in the day, you know what I'm saying? And mind you, I was single. All I was doing was going to work, going to church, trying to make time to work out, do music, whatever the case. But now, you know what I'm saying? Like, you're somebody who has a family. You got a wife, 2 kids, a job that you got to drive what, like for 40 minutes to?
About, yeah, I would say 40 minutes.
You know what I'm saying? So what has helped you like find that balance? You know what I'm saying?
I think what helped is just establishing a schedule and making, writing stuff down on a calendar or on a weekly planner to stick to instead of doing it. Because I used to do it willy-nilly. So, I obviously wake up, go to work. When I come home, whatever ideas that are fresh in my head from work, because I have a lot of quiet time at work because I drive trucks. This is my day job, which is going to be, in God's name, we going to, photography is going to be full time. But I got a lot of downtime there. There's a lot of ideas pop up. So when I get home, within an hour of me getting home, I like to pop my computer on and do any designs or do any photo work or any editing or any research. Because, I would tell my wife, it's the stuff that people don't see. Y'all only see the finished product that I post, but the office hours I put in behind the scenes to get to what you guys see, that takes a lot of work.
Facts.
So, I like to, I get home. This is so my kids are back in school now. So when they was homeschool, I would get home. Obviously, their work would be done. So I'll come home, get an hour or two, on the computer. Then I'll hang out with the family. Now it's a little bit different. I get home. Depending on when I get home, I help the kids out with their homework. Do whatever I got to do to help my wife. Do my leisure time, whether that's playing some PS5 or just relaxing. And then at night, I'll jump into my work. This is a weekday thing. The weekends look a lot different. The weekends is a little bit more willy-nilly. Whatever downtime I have, I'll hop on my computer. But I'm always doing research. I'm always trying to find ways to get better. Now, I'm trying to incorporate a little bit more text into my photos just to make them pop a little bit more, just to tell a story in my pictures so they're not just pictures.
Yeah.
That might reach, another audience. I'm just trying to reach as many eyes as I can. But yeah, just writing it down, making a schedule. And it helps to have a supportive spouse that, doesn't get mad. She's back in the journey. She helps me any way she can. Sometimes I bring her on weddings. Sometimes I bring her on shoots. I'll give her a camera to help me. She holds my flash. So she's supportive of it. I told her she's as much as part of Third Day as I am. So once it pops off, she's obviously second in command.
Yeah.
She's going to handle a lot. So I appreciate her for letting me step away into the cave for a couple hours just so I could fulfill what God has destined me to fulfill.
So it sounds like you base your decisions around your purpose. You know what I'm saying? Like you base your actions around your purpose. And in that is where you see everything.
You see the fruit of it.
Exactly.
I'm doing a lot. I'm doing all the cultivating, and you guys get to see the fruit. But cultivating takes work. Cultivating requires your hands to get dirty.
Facts.
Your brain to get tired. But you got to do it if you want to see that good fruit. At all, you still. And with all that being said, you can't lose sight of who gave you the word or who's in charge, which is God. You got to always make time for the person that gave you that gift. You got to do both. You can't just do one or the other. If you're gonna do one or the other, it's always gonna be God. If it's a one or the other thing, always do God. That's gonna be that. You can't just do photo like, I'm forget about God.
No, for real.
God is a sinner. It's because of him all this is possible. So you always gotta pray and make time and praise the one that gave you that gift.
Yeah, man. He just dropped a big nugget right there, man. Don't let that go over your heads. But we finna get this 8th birdie in.
Yes,
we'll
sir.
see you on the next clip.
We see y'all.
Like you said, the important thing is always going back to the one that gave you the gift, the one that gave you the word. What does your creative process look like? You know what I'm saying? Because there's people who just go, you know what I'm saying, come up with good ideas on their own and don't pray. Right. But then they think that even though it might be a good idea, you know, start a clubhouse. Yeah. Right. And even though they might think that their idea is good, but it's not from God, but they think it's from God. Right. You know what I'm saying? So what does your creative process look like to keep God in the center of it all?
I think knowing God's voice, it all starts there. Getting familiar with it to where you don't even have to think. I'm fortunate enough to think that I've come to know his voice and to know even the unction when he's talking or when it's an idea from him, to where I'm just going out and doing it. Before that, you just marinate on something just to make sure, and just having a good foundation helps block out the enemy from trying to throw anything bad in your head as well too. Putting that armor on so that you ain't susceptible to his attack and his infiltration. So I go into my process with boundaries. So there's certain things and certain people that I won't photograph if it doesn't correlate with my beliefs. For sure. I feel like that's a good start. Having your standards, you know, not giving into the world, and staying true to your beliefs. And my ideas, you know, they just come. And I like to have purpose behind every shoot. Even if the days where I go in and say, look, there's no guideline today, and that's where faith comes in. I have faith in God to give me the ideas on a day where it's like, look, let your will be done today, because not that I'm not feeling creative, but it's just times where I just feel like, hey, God gonna provide today. He gonna give me the ideas.
Yeah.
So I'll go in there blind, and sometimes those be my best shoots. But I always try to go in with intent, with some type of I don't like to just be willy-nilly. That's how I feel like I want to be, you know, set apart and different, to where I'm not doing what everybody else is. I'm not doing the expected. If everybody wants to get a shot of somebody with the water in the background, if I'm in a group of 10 people, all 10 of them is going to have the subject posed with the water in the background.
Yeah.
So what I'll do is I'll turn around and look at what nobody else is looking at. And be like, hey, what's unconventional that's different from the typical, hey, the water's back there. And maybe I could go on the other side of the water and shoot where the water's the foreground and the subject is the background, or just turn around and, hey, what's behind? If you're not looking, you're not going to see it.
For sure.
Your head is, if everybody's looking this way, nobody's looking to see what's possible this way. Nobody wants to think, everybody's looking for the easy shot. I like to be different.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the creative process, it's one of my favorite things. That's why, you know, I won't even do certain shoots. Like certain shoots I don't enjoy. Like, I like to make art. I'm not really big on, you know, I call it the Jason Penny style. That's not me. So, you know, I want to give the customer something. And I think that's where the customer, you know, benefits, because I enjoy doing it. Sure. I think I'm more excited to do it than them. To where it's like, look, I could shoot all day. You let me know when you're tired. This is just as fun for me. It's art for me. So yeah, that's it for me as far as my creative process. And then, you know, that just makes the editing easier. Doing all the work there, so when I'm editing, I already have my presets, and then I'll just, you know, do whatever nitpicking I need to do on that, as far as removing anything that needs to be removed from the photo and all that stuff. So
Yeah.
yes, sir.
That's good. That's good. That kind of like reminds me of what happens in the music industry. You know what I'm saying? That there's people who don't really have those boundaries of, okay, like the Bible says that light has no fellowship with darkness. But then people claim to be of the light, but then they're fellowshipping with darkness, saying that it's ministry, but like it's not really you know what I'm saying? So having those boundaries are definitely important, even though sometimes it might feel like you're being tested because stuff isn't really coming in how you thought it was, and maybe you could have had this great opportunity, but there wasn't peace about it. But when you wait through that, you know what I'm saying, that's when the character is built, the test of being tested with the little, so you can be faithful with the much. You know what I'm saying?
And also, like, to go into what I said, like, I'm not saying I'm not going to shoot somebody who's not Christian. I shoot non-Christians all the time. Yeah. But I'm not going to go do a boudoir shoot of somebody, you know, wearing, you know, something sexy and reveal. I'm not doing that. Yeah. You know, that's one of the things that I won't do. I'm gonna keep it, you know, to my beliefs. I'm not. And if I do, and even if I'm shooting a female, even if she's a Christian, classy dress in a flower garden or whatever, I'm gonna make sure my wife is with me. I'm not gonna do that with myself. Yeah. So
give no room for the enemy.
Exactly.
Yeah. And it's always good to think outside the box too. Like one thing that I see with Christian artists, rappers, is that like everyone pretty much sounds the same. No one really wants to take that time to, like you said, like see. Right. You know what I'm saying? And try to do something different. Like, okay, this worked for this person. Let me copy what they do. Right. You know what I'm saying? When God has given you a lane of your own. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's fire, bro. Yes, sir. That's fire. See you on the next clip.
Next hole.
So have you seen like a correlation between your quality of work, whether that comes to the outcome or your creative process, the correlation between that and your relationship with God?
Yeah, it seems that, especially as of late, I've been doing my best to get deeper with God, and I've noticed the evolution in my work. I feel like there's a difference in my work in the quality. I told my wife the other day that, you know, before I used to just, you know, be snapping away I was shutter happy, holding the shutter, just taking a bunch of pictures.
True.
Now it's like to the point where I don't need to do that. Like one of my last photo shoots, I'll get them in the pose I want, and literally I put it on single burst mode, take 1 or 2 pictures, and I got what I need. Before to be holding it down, taking 10, 12 pictures, and that just takes up a lot of space, and it's a lot more work for you to do in post because you just got a lot of the same photo.
True.
So pretty much just trusting your process, trusting you will get that quality photo.
Yeah.
And trimming all the fat, knowing what you're gonna get. So yeah, I would definitely say the correlation is there. I see it. My wife has texted me the other day and just gave me a praise like, hey, I just want to let you know, I'm not saying I'm your wife, but like, I can see your work is just different.
Yeah.
And there's definitely that correlation there.
For sure. Yeah, I can see the difference in the quality too. Like, it definitely seems a lot more. It looks like a lot more thought has gone into what you do.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
That's the intention.
Yeah.
A lot more thought. Trimming the fat, like I said, and getting right to the nitty gritty. More thought. I see a shot right now. I'm always looking. I'm always seeing something.
Yeah.
I got 2 palm trees right. And that's what I like to do now. Before, it was just subject driven. Now I like to use the environment. So you guys can't see it, but I see 2 palm trees right there. How can I use those palm trees to incorporate the subject in the photo, opposed to just taking a picture of the subject?
True.
And disregarding what's in the background.
Yeah.
Can I pose them in the middle? Can I pose them forward? I can see a lot I can do with these 2 palm trees right there.
Yeah.
Where I would, use the environment more, using shadows, looking at shadows on the ground, looking at shadows on the wall. How can I frame the subject in those shadows? Looking for natural frames. If nature is making a square for me, I'm gonna put my subject in the middle of that square that nature is making for me, or that circle. So, yeah, for sure.
Yes, sir. We good.
So what's up, y'all? As y'all can see, we are not on the golf course anymore, but we are here at the Burrows estate. I think the stuff on the course went really well. You know what I'm saying? A bunch of birdies, eagles.
All day. Fairways all day. It was cool, having conversation on the course. You guys got an insight to see what happens on the course most times when guys go play. It's just a lot of conversation.
Facts.
It just so happened to be conversation about, my relationship with God and my growing business and my family. So, 2 things I love, golf and family. So
I forgot when this was, but Lauren had posted something on her story. You remember what that was, Lauren? When I was like, Lamar, somebody that I look up to as a father and husband.
What the heck was? I think it was one of my random Saturday posts.
Word. So like I was telling Lauren, you know what I'm saying? Like when I'm around you guys, I can see who you are, like as a husband, as a father. You know what I mean? And that's something that I desire to be. You know what I mean? Like something that I look up to. So being involved with church, having a job, and then having the Third Day Productions, what's something that you and Lauren do to stay strong? You know what I'm saying? As husband and wife, but then also as a family and whole.
So, of course, you got to have the foundation, which is God. Everything is centered in God. You put everything in him first, everything falls into place. We've always been like our own little tribe, where it's like we don't let outside influences affect us. We're all our one tribe. I always say, like, if me and her was on a deserted island, I could live with her forever. Like, we're literally each other's best friend. So I think that really helps, that it's easy to, like, you can love someone, but can you like that person? And I like being around her. Obviously I love her, but like, we like and love each other's company. So that helps. And with our kids, it's the same thing. Like, what makes our day is just, doing something. Quality time is a big thing. No matter what it is, whether it's going to the woods, doing something extravagant, to a theme park. We just love being together as a family. So I think we just, we got lucky and find, we're both compatible in that way, where we just love being around each other. We love being around our family. And I think that's where it starts. I always said, like, hey, if I had plans with my friends and she said, hey, babe, I want to do this, I'm like, hey, friends, sorry. I'm going to go hang out with my wife.
I mean that.
Because, I just, I'd rather be with her. Like, I think that's important, having that foundation of just having friendship. And even when we started our relationship, it started off of just conversation.
True.
You know, we would just talk for hours in her room, and before you know it, it's, you know, 2, 3 in the morning. So that was a good foundation. You know, the foundation didn't start on anything physical. It didn't start on anything, you know, superficial. It was just straight conversation, getting to know each other. So I just think it just carried over, you know, 15 years later.
That's fire. What would you say is something that, like, let's say like you guys had like a long week or a long month, you know what I'm saying? What's something that you guys do to, I guess, get recharged?
It goes back to the quality time. So if it's like a conference time at church where, you know, everything is go, you know, the best thing to do is like, hey, settle down. Let's go somewhere. Let's clear our minds. Let's just be with each other. I just think that's like, just going back to that, like the cure for all of that is just being with each other.
Yeah.
It could be sitting in here and watching a movie, you know, just turning everything off, getting back to the basics, realizing what our foundation is, you know, which is us, and just loving each other, spending that quality time with each other. So that's it right there. Just, you know, settling down and doing all the foundation things, spending time with each other, whether that's here or, you know, going out to eat, whatever it may be.
Yeah. So speaking about foundation, Apostle has said many a times, like, the foundation starts to crumble when one partner like stops dying to their self. You know what I'm saying? What do you see makes your guys' foundation strong?
So pretty much, you know, staying true to the creator. You know, we have, especially of late, we have our separate relationships with God. You know, they always say, you know, we're not going to go to heaven together. So just having that separate relationship, you know, our own revelations, our own encounters. And, you know, this house is anointed. You know, I would like to think that, you know, this house is spirit filled. I mean, we got testimony. You came in, when you stayed in the house, you felt it in the room.
Facts.
So we just like to build that foundation to where everything is in one accord. So even though we're spending separate time with God, everything is still aligned when we come together.
Yeah.
You know, the Holy Spirit is flowing within everybody. Everybody's on the same, you know, the same goal, same mission. So I think that's a big factor in that, as far as that goes, for sure.
Word. And let's say there's days when Lauren might be going through something or you're going through something. How do you be there for one another?
So knowing your partner is crucial. Okay, knowing her is crucial. When she's going through her stuff, I don't bother her. There's nothing I can do or say to get her, you know, out of her mood. You know, I've learned that, you know, let her come down, and then once I see that opening, I could go in. But yeah, I think knowing your partner is crucial. You don't want to nag her. Like, that's not her. That's not her style. Like, let her be.
Yeah.
So I let her be. Recently, because of one of our discipleships we had, talking about reverting back to your training and your time with God and not letting the enemy infiltrate. A few weeks ago, after that, I spoke to her about, like, hey, you know, if the kids is getting on your nerves or whatever, they're not, you know, obeying you. Don't try not to get into that mode to where you're shut off. Because my wife, she's always in her word, always.
Yeah.
So pretty much going back to what Apostle was telling us, I pretty much told her, like, hey, look, you're in your word all the time. Anytime the devil or the enemy tries to come in here and disrupt anything in this house, revert back to your reading, revert back to your training. Everything that you've learned from reading, put it into practice.
Yeah.
And, you know, it seems to always happen on church days, Thursdays, you know, Sunday mornings, or on conference times. Something's always going on. So I always say, look, you're in your word all the time. Remember to revert back to that training, revert back to that knowledge, that wisdom, that revelation that God may have given you that morning or that night. So that's the new thing that I'm trying to implement. I haven't had much instances to throw that in lately, but that's something that I want to practice, as far as, like, and just reminding each other, reminding myself, like, hey, look, the word, that's our weapon.
Mm-hmm.
So anything we get from that, we don't want the enemy to pretty much, get in the way of the revelation that God's given us that day.
For sure. And what about like vice versa, like Lauren for you?
So I'm a different breed. So I'm I'm not easily bothered.
Mm-hmm.
And if I am bothered, I won't show it.
Yeah.
That's something that I probably have to work on as far as, expressing my emotions. But I don't show that I'm bothered.
Yeah.
But like she can tell when I'm in the mood,
Mm-hmm.
and she be like, yeah, I be afraid to talk to you when you and I be knowing sometimes. Whatever it may be, rarely, whatever it happens, I'll be in my mood. It's the same thing. Like she'll let me rock until, I get back to where I need to be. But yeah, with me it's not as much because I hide a lot. I compress a lot.
Yeah.
Or mostly it's hard to like I'm not easily bothered. So
For sure.
it's definitely different as far as me and her goes.
Mm-hmm.
We got blessed as far as we all like puzzle pieces that just fit perfectly together as a family. We just been blessed. Like,
Yeah.
Just having her and the kids and the support.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, even my daughter, I practice on her a lot. I'm like, hey, Lacey, I need you real quick. And she'll stop what she's doing. And she'll come out here, and then I'll practice lighting techniques with Lacey.
Yeah.
So, a lot of that stuff that people don't see. So I think that's the perfect way. We were just blessed to be puzzle pieces that just fit perfectly together.
Yeah.
So like, it doesn't even feel like I'm busy.
Mm-hmm.
It's just everything just fits. Everything just works.
For sure.
So, but like I say, anything outside of that, structure where I might feel stretched thin, I'll do what I have to do to get that stuff done.
Yeah.
But it hasn't been nothing where it's like I'm pulling my hair.
Yeah.
So, and like, for instance, like I'm talking about how my wife supports me. Like I even support her using my gifts to help her with her ministry.
Mm-hmm.
As far as, the in the church.
Facts.
Doing all the plays and the live stuff there, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
So the drama ministry.
Mm-hmm.
So even, using my talents to help her there.
Cause like looking at it now, you know what I mean. I know like when y'all first came to the church, you weren't doing photography or videography.
Mm-hmm.
Ron wasn't on the worship team. I'm not sure what you thought about like theater and stuff like that. Was that gone too with the worship? Word. So did y'all? So looking at it now, it's clear that like your purposes kind of coincide with each other.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
That's wild to think about it. Yeah.
Right. So
I never even thought about it that way.
haha, perfect question. So how has that affected like y'all's relationship?
Oh, I would say it helped for sure because
Yeah.
we brainstorm and stuff now to do like short films and stuff for the church. So we're always bouncing ideas. I think it all started when we did the Eve in the Garden piece,
That was hard.
where it wasn't even video; it was all photo, a bunch of still photos telling the story of Eve's encounter with God, Eve's fellowship with God in the garden prior to the fall. So that I think that kind of kick-started it, and we didn't know. We was just doing it. It was more of a thing that I kind of wanted to do. And, she was on board, and we all bounced ideas off of each other. And we had a conversation recently how, like, that pretty much was like the start, not even realizing at the time. And then, she gets into the drama ministry, and then just like you brought up just now, it's like now, like God brought us here to this place, to this church. He dug up old talents that we pretty much buried away, and now we're using them to work together for His glory.
That's fire.
So,
Yeah.
and even when we met, I was still doing some photo stuff. She really wasn't much into the drama stuff, but she was doing her singing stuff. We never did a lot of we did some stuff together as far as me doing some graphic work for her, but we never had collaborations and ideas like we have now.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's all coming around full circle.
Yeah, no, that's definitely a beautiful
Yeah.
thing to see. What's something that you wanna instill in your kids? You know what I'm saying? Like just being around you guys, you know what I'm saying? Like your kids are obedient, you know what I mean? Like they are kids, so they're gonna have their, I don't, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But like what's the example that you want to be to them?
So this is another conversation I had with Apostle as far as like my style of fathering. I told him like growing up, I had my dad till I was 13. Then my parents split, and that was like hard for me. I thought my parents was gonna be together forever. I was a kid that just loved love, you know.
Yeah.
So my dad was there, but we never had a relationship where we could sit in a room and have a conversation. My dad was always there for my sports games. He was always there at my practices. He coached me, but we never had a verbal conversation style relationship. I was always a mama's boy. Even when my mom didn't really talk that much, I was just always an introvert. But I learned a lot from watching, and I had to accept the fact that I am like who I am as far as like my fathering style. Like I could appreciate. So I would pray that my kids will learn a lot from me from watching me. I want to be an example by setting an example. You know, I always get frustrated a lot now because and they don't understand a lot what's going on as far as the idea of me going to work and the idea of them having a house with lights on and AC and TV. So I will hope that them seeing a strong man that treats their mother with so much love, a man and father that wakes up every morning before they wake up and comes home, you know, after working hard for them.
Yeah.
I just pray that one day that they can see that, and as far as from Landon's perspective, see that, oh, this is how a man, this is how a father, this is how a husband should act or behave, and this is what he should do. He should get up, provide for his family. From Lacey's perspective, I pray that she sees that in her future husband. This is what I want my husband to be. The way he treats my mom, the way he treats me, the way he treats my brother. So I just pray that they just see my works. I'm more of a works kind of guy instead of a words kind of guy.
Yeah.
I could see it in my son. The fact that we don't really have a verbal thing going on, but anytime we go somewhere where we're separated, he decides he wants to ride with me in my car, and that always makes me feel good. Like, oh, okay. You know, we take the separate car. Oh, I'm riding with Dad.
Yeah.
You know, he always wants to do stuff for me, so I feel it in that way. As far as him wanting to spend time with me. So even though he might get on my nerves, as far as him not understanding certain aspects of how I provide, but I think there's little seeds being planted in there
1,000%.
as far as him seeing me provide. And I know he sees it with my wife. He lets me love on his mother. So he loves to see us love. So I'm glad he's seeing that part. And I know sooner or later he'll get the grasp of the part of me waking up, going to work, and, you know, times where I might tell him like, hey, I can't right now because I have to do this. Yeah. He'll understand one day like, oh, you know, he was doing this for the family. Like he was in his office doing stuff or doing photos or doing a call because ultimately he's providing for us and wants to give us a better life. Yeah. So for sure.
And what's something that, like, as your kids get older, like what's something that you've been learning about fathering?
It's definitely a hard one. It's a everyday job. It's a 24/7 job. You know, there's good days, there's bad days, but I think I think it all starts like with the foundation with God, like just having that strong foundation as a family. You know, believing in Jesus, you know, as Lord over all. I'm grateful that Landon, at his age, is like, we call him a little pastor. He's just hungry.
That blazer he had on yesterday, he definitely looked like he was about to give a word.
And the praise reports we get from people, you know, outside of the house is just, you know, it's stuff that, you know, parents dream for. You know, my daughter, you know, she has her moments, but, you know, she understands it. She gets it, you know. And she's younger than him. So, you know, she has time because Landon went through phases at her age as well. So, for sure, like, it's definitely a grind every day. every day is a grind. You don't
Yeah.
know what you're gonna get, but if you got the foundation, if you lay down the groundworks, you know, you'll get through all those bumps, you know, along the way.
Yeah.
For sure.
I've heard this from different people, but having kids gives you like a revelation on your relationship with God.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So what has been that biggest revelation?
So I would say general terms, I would say patience is definitely something. But as far as, you know, and I think that I will definitely get deeper with this. Like, I'll probably have another answer for this question in the next week or coming weeks or months, because I'm about to start reading a book on fatherhood that Apostle gave my wife that she finished, that I'm going to start to read. But just seeing how God, the Father, is, you know,
Yeah.
just looking at it from that perspective, that, you know, he's our Father, like his love for us, like, you know, he sent his only son, the sacrifices that he's made. And it's just like seeing God from the Father perspective definitely can help you as a father. And I'm definitely curious to dive into the book to get a deeper revelation on that as well.
Yeah.
So I think, like I said, after reading that, I'll have a much better answer for you. But even not reading that, just looking at God from the perspective of God the Father, you know, God has done so much for us as a people, you know, and looking at it from that perspective as a father, I would want to do the same thing for my kids, you know, giving them everything that they deserve, everything that, you know, they want, but obviously having guidelines. You know, God just not, you know, God has his commandments.
For sure.
So just looking at it from that perspective, for sure.
What's something that you want to be known for when you leave this earth?
I want to be known. So I've never been a guy that cared for the spotlight. Like, I don't really, you know, my family, like, the way my family sees me is all I pretty much, you know, care about. And I think everything else will fall in line. But I just want to be known as a loving father, a loving husband, a person that treated people well, a person that treated people with respect. And I feel like that, you know, I'm accomplishing that as we speak.
100%.
You know, just even testimonies about how you look up to me, like stuff like that is, I don't seek for that, but hearing that stuff makes me know, like, okay, I have other purposes besides my family mission. You know, it could be influencing other people that I might not know I'm influencing just by them seeing how I portray something, whether it be on Facebook, Instagram, or in person.
Yeah.
To see the way they see me treat my family, the way they see me treat my kids, the way they see me treat others. So, yeah, just knowing that, you know, they said, oh, Lamar was the mellowest, loving, respectful dude I ever knew. You know, I can live with that. Yeah. I don't like conflict. I just want everybody to get along. I want everybody to love. I would love everybody to have what I have, to be honest. Like, a loving wife that cares, that supports, that's a partner, a friend, great kids that fight, but they love each other to death. Even though they fight, they love each other. But yeah, just, I would love for everybody to have what I have here, for sure.
Yeah.
And I just like to, and if that's what it, being that example, you know, I'm all for it, for sure.
Yeah.
Apostle even said in our last meeting that he sees the way I love my wife, and he would love to start sending young couples our way just to feed off of what we got going on, and even stuff like that. Like, just thinking about that, like,
that's real.
You know, like I said, I'm not seeking that. But I'll accept it for sure.
Yeah. Is there any message that you want to get across to whoever's watching this?
Oh, yeah. First of all, I would say anything that might seem tough, don't stray away from that stuff. It's it's perfect. Even like going back to Apostle and him talking about, or no, actually Prophet. I think it was Prophet that said it today. You know, if you're in the fire, that's just God, you know, purifying you. don't run away from that.
Yeah.
God is working. There might be times in life where, you know, things might not go the way they're going. God's working in the background, for sure. He's always working in the background. You know, seeing where my photography businesses is going now, God was definitely working in the background because that's been stagnant for about 12, 13 years. I wasn't going to go back to that. God was working in the background with my wife when she said she didn't want to do worship anymore. When she stopped doing drama, anything dealing with drama stuff, God was working in the background, and he has her running a full drama ministry at church. I think she's going to change lives. I think together we're going to change lives visually, giving people a new perspective, a different perspective, and working with Apostle on saving lives and getting people saved.
Facts.
So I think I would say that God's always working in the background. So when you think things might not be going the way you want them to go, just stick with it. Stay true. Stay in your word. You know, have good spiritual parents, have a good foundation, and everything will work, you know, everything will work for the good. So just always remember, God's always working in the background.
Facts. And it has been working.
Yes, for sure.
No cap. But yeah, bro, appreciate you for coming on.
Yes, sir.
You know what I'm saying? Everybody make sure y'all tap in with my boy Lamar and Third Day Productions. You know what I'm saying? All his information is going to be in the description. You feel me? Be on the lookout for new podcasts, new music. Make sure y'all follow us on everything. Instagram, TikTok. You know what I'm saying? Lamar just got back active on TikTok. I was excited to see that. And
Trying.
yeah, man, make sure y'all like, comment, subscribe. Join the Great Gang or You Ain't Gang. And we out of here.
Yes, sir.